Shalom, coming back at you with this truth, giving all praises to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua Ba'ashem Kakwadash. And I'm going to entitle this video, The World's Most Powerful Countries. I don't know where I'm going to go with this. I don't know how long this is going to be, but I had this page up a couple of days ago and I was, Xing out certain tabs. So I was kind of reading through it, buzzing through it. And I said, let me do a little quick video on this. Let's see where the Spirit takes me. Anyway, let me just start reading and see what precepts come to mind, what thoughts come to mind. And why we say, excuse me, why we say that or teach that, little horse here, that Babylon the Great is America. Because when you read about, not ancient Babylon, but the daughter of Babylon or Babylon the Great, or that great city. Give me a second here. Let me get some water. Or maybe I'll sound better. Anyway, so you see here, break this down a little bit. It says power. This is from US News. The world's most powerful countries also are the ones that consistently dominate news. And what's the number one country that dominates pretty much every news outlet on the planet? It's America. America's the president. When Trump came into office, the whole world was speaking about it. The whole world knew about Trump. When Clinton came into office, the whole world knew about Clinton. So America's always talked about in relation to China, Russia, whether it be a war. The US is connected pretty much with every major nation out there. And this is, like I said, this is why we say that this is Babylon the Great, spiritual Sodom in Egypt. Okay, so let's read that. It says, the world's most powerful countries also are the ones that consistently dominate news headlines. Go to Al Jazeera, go to RT, go to any of those international news feeds. Anywhere around the world, they're always going to talk about America. America or the U.S. is always and they're talking about this place, this country. And so the world's most powerful countries also are the ones that consistently dominate news headlines. And another reason why the U.S. is always mentioned, because of their military. They have over 800 foreign military, U.S. military bases in foreign lands, which means that when you look up the word occupy, well, that's when you have your country, your military, your policies in another country. that really means you run that country. The Roman Empire during the time of the Messiah, that was a vast empire. That was more vast than the Babylonians, the Medo-Persians, and the Greeks. And what happened was it occupied Palestine as well as all the other places that they occupied. Same thing with America. America just doesn't run the 50 so-called states. It occupies like Okinawa. Okinawa is really controlled by the US. Why? And Japan. Why? Because they have their influences over there. They have military base in parts of Japan, in Okinawa. They got a green zone in Iraq. So who really runs Iraq? The US. But it's all going to backfire on them. It says that constantly, the world's most powerful countries also are the ones that constantly dominate news headlines, preoccupy policymakers, and shape global economic patterns. You know, this recession, as they call it, it affects the whole planet. The war in Russia, so-called invading Ukraine, it's affecting the whole world. Gas prices, food prices. The fact that nations want to, they no longer want to deal with America's policies and America's financial system. They don't want to break off from it. Because what are they finding out? They're finding out that over here in the States, that the federal government through the through the Federal Reserve and the Treasury, the printing press, the central bank, the Federal Reserve Bank, which works hand in hand with the US, they produce, people say printing, I say produce. Because there's two ways you can produce money. One way, the old-fashioned way, is printing it on paper. The other way is typing a one followed by so many zeros. When you get a credit card, that money, like years ago, I got a credit card. The highest credit card amount I got was $10,000. That was back in like 2005 because I was paying my bills off on time. And I got a couple of things that pushed my credit up a little bit. And it was $10,000. And you know where that $10,000 came from? It came out of thin air. And they had no power over me because I never used that card. As a matter of fact, some years later, they canceled the account. They gave me a nasty letter because I didn't use the card, because they want you to use the card because they make money off of the interest. So the fact that I didn't use it, they said, there's nothing we can do with this guy because he hasn't spent a dime. As soon as I use that card, I got to pay that money back initially and pay the interest, whatever the interest was. And it was kind of low. It wasn't that low. I believe it was 8%. And like I said, they make their money off of the interest. They get their initial payment back plus interest. That's how it works. That's how the banks work. The banking system is based upon interest, usury. which is in contra and which is contrary to the scriptures, the laws of the scriptures. That's why you have laws. You know, vocab says the laws are done away with. Is the laws of the Messiah. So what are the laws? Oh, love your neighbor and love the Most High, and love your neighbor, and that's it. Well, I mean, what's true love? You know, if you're taking somebody's, you know, if you give somebody a loan, the only way you can become rich is through interest. That's why you make your own money. You do your own thing. You pay your bills with as far as the credit card is concerned, from my understanding, you pay the bill before the 30-day cycle. There's no interest on it. You borrow, you use the card for $1,000, you pay it back before the 30th, 29th day, let's say 28th day, there's no interest on it. You're back at zero, but they know you can't do it. Let me get out of that. I'm blabbing. Anyway, the major thing with the U.S. is its military and its finances, its money system, its economy. And all nations are connected to the US dollar, the Federal Reserve note, through a thing called World Reserve Currency, which these other nations are breaking off. You got the BRICS nation, they're doing their own thing. So they're turning it back on the US. It says their foreign policies and military budget, that's what keeps the power behind the dollar is what? The military. There's nothing back in the dollar, but there is something back in the dollar. That's the military. If you don't deal with their money, you know, if you don't exchange your dollar to the Federal Reserve dollar in order to purchase something from another country that has a different dollar, if you don't do that, they're looking to bring sanctions against you, embargoes, a tariff, which is a tax, or they'll bring their military. That was a whole situation with the Desert Storm, the war over there in Iraq. It was over Germany doing the deal with Iraq to buy oil with the euro. So the US got involved and said, nope, you got to use Federal Reserve notes. And nobody wants to use Federal Reserve notes because it loses value. It says they're foreign. So the two major things, this war, you know, the war of Armageddon is going to take place over what? Over power, over land, over finances, economics, and over, you know, every nation has, like Saudi Arabia has oil. They have assets, right? You know, the things that they produce. So that's why you have these 800 plus troops throughout the whole world, because they're watching everybody, and Roman Empire all over again. They said their foreign policies and military budgets. Foreign policies, what does that mean? They say we're going to do this and you do that, and we're going to do this and you're going to have to do it this way. Oh, their main policy is what? Democracy. All these nations that are members of the UN, all their leadership, prime minister, presidents, whatever title that they have, they're no longer kings. They're presidents, prime ministers, and so forth. And that's because of what? Because of America, because of the policy of America. No, everything has to be democratized. You have to have the people vote who is to become the leader. 4 years, 8 years, whatever. But then what the US does is they'll attack a country, bring policies, sanctions against the country, tariffs, embargoes, in order for them to have their chosen leader to be in that country. That happened with Venezuela, and Guaido. They said this guy's a real president. I said, man, who is this dude? During the reign of Maduro in Venezuela, and that's why Venezuela, experienced what they've been experiencing for the last 10 years, because of the policies of the U.S. So that the war of Armageddon is going to take place because certain nations don't want to agree with their policies. Habakkuk 2. It says their foreign policies and military budgets are tracked religiously, when they make a pledge. At least some in the international community trust they will keep it. These countries project their influence on the world stage. So you got United States is ranked number one in power. And you can click on it and get more information. It says the United States of America is a North American nation that is the world's most dominant economic and militarily. I'm not going to read. If you click on it, it'll give you more information. So we're going to read these other nations, and we're going to come back to the U.S. That's the nation that we're focusing on. So when you read about Babylon, the new Babylon, the daughter of Babylon, Babylon the Great, that great city, the whore that sitteth upon many waters, and you're going to tell me that America is insignificant, America is not in the scriptures? America is in the scriptures. And scripturally, it's known as Sodom, Egypt, and Babylon. The second, and I said this previously, I said before, I said that the top, you had two world powers, US and Russia. Now you really got three. Now, according to this article, China is number 2. It says China, number 2 in power. Home to one of the world's oldest civilizations. China has been ruled by the Communist Party since 1949. Now, you know what I want to do? Let me go to Russia, and I want to come back to the US. Russia, number 3. It used to be number 2, number 1. The scale of Russia is difficult to imagine. It is the world's largest country by land mass, nearly twice as big as, let me click on that. Nearly twice as big as Canada. And Canada is a big place. The world's second largest nation. Yeah, Canada, that's a lot of land. And covers all of the Northern Asian and much of the Eastern Europe. Let me come back. Then I'm gonna go into some basic prophetic scriptures focusing on America. And you got Germany, you got the UK, you got Japan, you got France, South Korea, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, So we're focusing mainly on the U.S. So let me click on it on the page. Overview of U.S. United States, capital D.C., region North America, population almost 330 million. It says the United States of America is and the United States is at its downfall. Isaiah chapter 47. They're at their downfall. They're going down the hill fast. They're going down that slope. And the whole world sees it, you know? It says the United States of America is a North American nation that is the world's most dominant economic and military power. Likewise, its cultural imprint spans the world, led in large part by its popular culture. Back 2,000 years ago, you had these other nations that wanted to be Romanized. They wanted to do what the Romans did. The old saying, do when in Rome, do as the Romans do. So now, at this time, in our lifetime, our parents' lifetime, our grandparents, the world became Americanized. You go to these different countries and they have the Burger King, you know, McDonald's, Wendy's, all those American companies, they're over there in Egypt and Japan and all around the world. Coca-Cola, Pepsi, that's their dominance. It says American nation that is the world's most dominant economic and military power. Military power. Likewise, its cultural imprint spans the world, the whole planet, led in large part by its popular culture expressed in music, and that's mostly Jake. I would say, if not all, 99.9% of music comes of the world, I mean popular music, acceptable music, comes out of America, but comes through what people? Jake. Rock and roll, the white boys be playing rock and roll. You know what the origins came from? It came from the church. All the music that Jake, the famous singers among Jake, they all sung in the choir. All of them. That goes for the R&B singers. They all came out of the church. It says, it says, led in large part by its popular culture expressing music, movies, and television. The invention of the movie, the moving picture came out of America. Television came out of America. The motor car came out of America. Orville and Wilbur Wright, it came out of America. What does it say in Daniel chapter 7? That this horn had eyes and spoke great things. Did they not go up into outer space? Did they not compete with the cosmonauts in Russia, which are Edomites? The country is grappling with a Crown Vic. Let me just jump down. They speak about George Floyd. And all hell broke loose based upon that whole thing with George Floyd, the death of George Floyd. It says in November 2020, the country's voters elected Joe Biden as the nation's 46th president, removing Donald Trump after one term. The country in 2021 is wrestling with deeply polarized politics. The deadly January 6th assault on the US Capitol by Trump supporters who rejected the November 2020 election result underscores concerns about the wealth and future of American democracy. So, Trump called on, he said it was a rigged election. This is not true democracy, right? Now, we all know the scripture where it says, if Satan be divided against Satan, or a house divided against itself cannot stand, right? This place, which you call America, Babylon, is completely split in half. That's why when you have a presidential election, I remember back in the day, that night they said this guy won the elections, he's the president-elect. Within recent history, we'll go back to Baby Bush and this guy Gore, and that took a couple of months before they can say who the president was. And ever since then, that's been going on pretty much with all these presidents after them, after Bush and Gore, after the Bush and Gore election. Like I said, I remember when you had the president, you knew that night that he's the president. No controversy. They have to do recounts because there's such an even split in this country, red states and blue states. A nation divided against itself cannot stand. Satan divided against Satan cannot stand. So we know just based upon that scripture alone that this place is done. I don't got to read no more on this. Now, when you go to scriptures like Isaiah, I'm going into prophetic scriptures. Matter of fact, you know what I'm going to do? Let me go to Isaiah 19. What scriptures come to mind when I'm reading this this article? Revelation 13, Revelation 34, Jeremiah 49, Jeremiah 50, 51, Ezekiel, there's so many precepts in Ezekiel 35, 36, Daniel 2, Daniel 7. So anyway, let me go to Isaiah 19. And this book has to be written in a parabolic way, poetic way, because if the Lord outright mentioned America and Russia or actually said who are the Edomites, what do they actually look like, they would outlaw the Bible. So anyway, let's try to tackle this here. So we're going into another breakdown. Hermeneutics. Message to Egypt. So we know that this is not talking about actual Egypt. Egypt is history. Egypt had this greatness a long time before this time that we're living in. Before Isaiah came on the scene and the prophets, Jeremiah came on the scene. Egypt had its greatness and it lost its greatness. And so the Egypt that's here now in replace of the old Egypt is this Egypt. They said the burden of Egypt, you might as well say the burden of Babylon. Behold, the Lord rideth upon a swift cloud and shall come into Egypt. And the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence. Now we know Esau doesn't know this. You go to the commentary, they're gonna be all over the place. They will not say this is talking about America. They wouldn't equate this to Babylon. And they know there's a difference between ancient Babylon and Babylon the Great, or the daughter of Babylon, and the ancient Babylon. But you have scholars, they'll go to Isaiah 13 when it mentions Babylon, and they'll say, well, that's talking about ancient Babylon. They said the burden of Egypt, which is Babylon, behold, the Lord rideth upon a swift cloud, and shall come into Egypt, and the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence, because those missiles are going to shake the earth, and the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it, and they're going to literally melt. The elements shall melt with fervent heat. And I will set the Egyptian against the Egyptian. What I say? Didn't I say that? The Egyptian against the Egyptian is you have the Democrats and the Republicans. You have the red states and the blue states. And they're against each other to the point where they want to kill each other. If Satan be divided against Satan, that kingdom cannot stand. I'm merely paraphrasing. And they shall fight everyone against his brother and everyone against his neighbor. That's 2nd Ezra chapter 15. City against city, 2nd Ezra chapter 15, and kingdom against kingdom. And the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof, and I will destroy the counsel thereof. And they shall seek to the idols and to the charmers and to them that have familiar spirits and to the wizards. Now, they're doing that behind the scenes. They'll get together and they'll draw a circle and they'll draw a pentagram or a hexagram, and which is the shield, and they'll call for demons, and demons will actually come to him. But guess what? These demons are being a lying spirit to them, because these demons are on the Most High side. They're following the orders of the Most High. This is a game to the Most High. He's playing these devils. It says, in the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof, and I will destroy the counsel thereof, their wise men, and they shall seek to the idols and the charmers and to them that have familiar spirits and to wizards. There's a scripture that says, and them that peep. Let me see if I can find that. And them that peep. I don't know if it's P-E-E-P or P-E-E-P-E. We'll find out. Okay, that's in Isaiah 8, verse 19. And when they shall say unto you, seek unto them that have familiar spirits, and unto wizards that peep and that mutter, should not a people seek unto their power for the living to the dead? Because Jake did that. They sought for these witches. The first king of Israel, Saul, he did that. He banished the witches, but then again, he called on one secretly. He disguised himself. Yeah, that's what Lahab did. So we're finding out, we've been new, that this man doesn't believe in the Most High power. He believes in this. He follows the left hand side of the spiritual realm. You feel me? So let's come back. Fourth verse, and the Egyptians will I give over into the hand of a cruel Lord, and a fierce king shall rule over them, saith the Lord of hosts. And the waters shall fail from the sea, and the river shall be wasted and dried up, that the way of the kings may be prepared. So let's throw that in there. And they shall turn the rivers far away, and the brooks of the fence shall be emptied, and dried up the reeds and flags shall wither. What's happening now? And it's happening by design. Food shortage, prices going up. The paper reads by the brooks, by the mouth of the brooks, and everything sown by the brooks shall wither, be driven away, and be no more. And that goes into Isaiah. When you go to Isaiah 14, it speaks about the, matter of fact, let me go to that. Isaiah 14. I'll start at 9. Hell from beneath is moved to meet thee at that coming. As this place is going down, the nations, the dark nations are coming up. They're beating their pruning hooks into spears. They're saying, let the weak say I am strong. It stirreth up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth. These different kings around the world, they're going to come against this place. They have raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations. All they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou also become weak as we? Let the weak say, I am strong. The great equalizer is the missile, the ICBM. Art thou become like unto us? Thy pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of thy vows, the worm. Now the worm means corrosion, corruption, bridges falling. You go down to the city, there's potholes all over the place. At one time, New York, and as well as America, really after, you had the New Deal with FDR. You had World War II. And after World War II, that was the heyday of America. The streets were paved. You know, when you went to a gas station, gas was like 25 cents, 20 cents. And then you had every gas station that you went to, you had an attendant come out and pump the gas for you. They check your oil, check your transmission fluid, wash your windows, make sure your tires are filled up with air. Now when you get gas, the gas is high as hell and you got to pump it your damn self. So this place is going down. And then the guys that worked in the gas stations, they wore suits. You know, they wore outfits with if they were pumping for Sinclair. That's an old company that came back. Sinclair was a company that was around when I was a kid in the early and mid 60s. But it never went out of business. It just came pop back up again, at least in the New York area. So it says, oh, the station that's still around called Gulf. Why do you think it was called Gulf? Because they got their oil from the Gulf over there in the Levant. Eleventh verse again, thy pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of thy vials. Let's look up the word vials. Let's look up the word vials, and then we're going to look up the word worm. Nabal. A skin bag, jar, pitcher, skin bottle, skin, jar, pitcher, harp, lute, guitar, musical instrument. And that goes hand in hand with Revelation 18 chapter. Speaks about the music being silent. So let's look up the word worm. Ramah. Maggot, worm, as cause and sign of decay. The bridges of America were built back in the 50s, early 50s. And all these bridges were built to last 50 years. So let's go 1950, right? 60, 70, 80, 90, 2000. So guess what? Year 2000, they should have rebuilt all the bridges, but they can't because of their financial situation. And they can't build these roads. That's why in certain areas, in the rural areas where Jake is living, you know, you brothers should do videos where you go around your hood, where you live at, to show how you not right where you live at. Don't say, well, this is my house. You know, I live at 1313 Mockingbird. No, you show the surrounding area of where you live at. Show how Edomites are living and show how Jake is living. I mean, I've been to places, brother. You know, Newark, New Jersey, right by the airport, the international airport. I went to get some gas and I went into the hood and them motherfuckers were like zombies, man. They were like all out there. They were all on drugs. And I'm saying, God damn. You go down to Philly, right? What's that place down there in Philly? I can't think of the street, but they openly do drugs. The police don't mess with them, but it's down there in Philly. I think it's Kingston Avenue, if I'm not mistaken. Let me look that up. Let me see if I'm correct. Kingston Avenue. In Philly. Let's see if that's it. Let me go to images. Yep, that's it. That's it. Kingston Avenue in Philly. Look at how they living, man. And that's Jake. You got a couple of Edomites mingled. You want to talk about a homeless situation? Got the military all up in there. We want our neighborhood back. But Vocab Malone says, "Oh, you guys are not under no curses. What curses?" Bear me for a minute. I mean, that's the hood. You know, when you turn a corner and you see stuff like this, you know you in the hood. Let me get some. Look at that. I want to get some pictures where they're actually shooting up out in public. Try this right here. See how they living? See a couple of Edomites because they're going through the curses now. Curses are hitting these. Jake is doing good, man. There's Jake's out there that's doing very well. Here you got a man that's homeless, and you got a police officer harassing this man or this woman. Where the hell are they gonna go? And if you lock them up, that's really a step up, man. You go to the system, man, you got the Muslims cooking the food, they can cook. And when we was in the system, man, that food was good. The Muslims took the kitchen over. And it's mostly Jake living like this, but then you got a couple of Edomites sprinkled. Damn. Damn, it's called a heroin camp. It's a closing down a notorious heroin camp in Philadelphia. Okay, you close them down, where are those people gonna go? Where they gonna go? So the Edomite, man, when they go down quick. Opioid crisis, addicts in a compassionate way. Look at it. Look at her skin is falling all apart. She's all fucked up. Deuteronomy 30, verse 7. Payback is a bitch. If you go to YouTube and you put in Kingston Avenue, Philadelphia, you'll see people that actually film, this area. Look at that. That's an Edomite right there. Edomite women. They're going down. They're going down. They go down hard, brother. The old saying, black don't crack. Well, Esau cracks easily. She looked, all right, but give her about 6 months to a year. She gonna look like this. She's gonna look just like this. That's probably her now, 6 months later. This is the reality. This is what Edomites look like when they're down and out. And am I concerned? Not the least bit. There's the Edomites here. Look at this, man. They're all messed up in the mind. Look at this. Look at this. And all of them are going to go back to that low state. So let's come back. Matter of fact, let's come back over here. I'm going a little too long. So we're going to skip this, but we know that this is talking about they catching hell. And see, when the Most High curses the fishes in the sea, if you want to go to a seafood restaurant, the price is going to be sky high. Surely princes of Zoan are fools, the counsel of the wise counselors of Pharaoh. Who are the modern day pharaohs? It's become Brutus. Brutus means stupid. They have no way out. I mean, look at the current president, man. It's a fucking disgrace, and the whole world sees this. It's not just you, fellow Americans. It's the whole world. They see the current leader, and they see that they perceive that this place has fallen on every level. That this place is weak. The current president doesn't represent strength. He represents utter weakness. And where has they got her out the picture? They just took her out the picture. What's her name? I don't even remember her name. Harris. They said that she had a mild case of the Crown Vic. That was what, a month ago? We ain't seen it since. They said, look, just put her out the picture because she makes this guy look even worse. You're going to tell me that Biden is a picture of strength? No, he's a picture of weakness. Even the Democrats, they're going to lose. They're going to lose the House. They're going to lose the House of Representatives and the majority of the House of Representatives and the Senate. They're going to lose the Senate. And then if we go that far and he makes a bid to be president again, whatever Republican is coming up against him, they're going to automatically win. Biden is a one-term president. It says, wise, it says, surely the princes of Zoan are fools, the counsel of the wise counselors of Pharaoh, the current Pharaoh, has become brutish, stupid. How say ye unto the Pharaoh or the king of Babylon, I am the son of the wise, the son of ancient kings? Where are they? Where are they? Where are thy wise men? And let them tell thee now, and let them know that Yahweh of hosts have proposed upon Egypt, which Egypt, Sodom and Egypt, spiritual Egypt, which is spiritually called Sodom and Egypt. Verse 14, Yahweh hath mingled a perverse spirit in the midst thereof. You can be born a woman and decide you want to be a man. You can be born a man or a boy and decide you want to be a woman. You can change your plumbing. So this is not a most high fearing nation. It said the Lord Yahweh hath mingled a perverse spirit in the midst thereof, and they have caused Egypt, modern spiritual Egypt, Revelation 11:8, to err in every work thereof, as a drunken man staggereth in his vomit. And that's what this guy looks. He looks like he's drunk. He looks like he's ready to fall off the podium. He looks like a walking corpse. Just being honest. So let's pull out some words here. Okay, so the Lord, that the word there is Yahweh. Yahweh. And then they try to call himself. This is called what's the term? What's the damn term? Let me do this. Let me click it on. Transliteration. Transliteration means, you see in the Hebrew, if you can read Hebrew from right to left, transliteration would be from left to right, and it would be Yah, Ha, Wah. Transliteration, Ye, Ho, Va. There's no V in the Hebrew, so it should be Ye, Ho, Wah. Actually, it should be Yah, Ha, Wah. There's no O sound in the Hebrew. Let's see how the guy says it.
Strong's H 3068. Yehovah. Yehovah.
He's wrong because there's no V sound in the Hebrew. The V is supposed to be a Wah. So I said, the Lord have mingled. Let's look up the word mingled. Masak. To mix, mingle, produce by mixing. To pour, mix. Perverse spirit. Distorting, perverting, warping, like a weird spirit. something that's opposite of just. And it says err, they err. Everything that they do is going to fail. One to go astray, stagger, intoxication. They're drunken with this whole America thing. Okay, we almost finished. This is mainly for the ones of you that, you want to get the understanding of Isaiah 19 in a nutshell. 15 verse. Neither shall there be any work for Egypt. People are used to staying home. They're working from home. They're trying to force people here in New York. They're trying to get the mayor, the current mayor, Eric Adams. He's trying to force people to go back to work. They don't want to go to work. They're used to working at home where they can be with their families. They can get up when they want to get up as long as they get that work done. They don't want to work. And then that kills the economy of a city because guess what? When they come back into work, they're gonna go to restaurants. They're gonna use transportation that whether they go by train, by bus, by taxi. It rebuilds the economy, and that's the real reason why he wants to come back to work. To build the economy of New York. New York, Manhattan, at one time, that was the place to be. You had the phrase, the city never sleeps. That place is dead. That place is dead. The Crown Vic took it out. So they're trying to revitalize the city. "15, neither shall there be any work for Egypt, which the head or tail, branch or rush may do. And that day shall Egypt be like unto women." Now, if they ever decide to send troops to Ukraine to help the Ukrainians, you're going to have a volunteer force, but you're going to need more than a volunteer force. So you're going to have to declare a draft. And watch how many people protest that draft. They'll rather go to jail than to go fight a war. They're going to protest it. This is not the time to call a draft for somebody to get killed. And then since I mentioned the Ukraine, the Russia and the Ukraine, the Russians have control of 20% of the Ukraine. And that was inside of 3 months. So if you go by that timetable, they should have the whole landmass of the Ukraine inside of a year and a half. And Zelensky, whatever his name is, however you say his name, he's pretty much sacrificing his people. You have the Ukrainian soldiers, they're giving up. A lot of them are not trained military. That's why they're trying to expand NATO. But they should read the scriptures. They should listen to the prophets. It's not going to end good. It's going to end very bad. "16th verse. In that day shall Egypt be like unto women, and it shall be afraid and fear because of the shaking of the hand of Yahweh of hosts, which he shaketh over it." "And the land of Judah shall be a terror unto Egypt." The land of Judah represents a people before it's a place. It represents the tribe of Judah, which ultimately represents the rest of Israel, the 12 tribes. What does it say in Zechariah 14? It says, "Judah shall also fight at Jerusalem." It says, and the land of Judah shall be a terror unto Egypt, which is Babylon the Great. Everyone that maketh mention thereof shall be afraid in himself because of the counsel of Yahweh of hosts, which he hath determined against it. That's Micah 5:7 on down. Jake is going to be like a lion among the sheep, who, if he goeth through both teareth and treadeth and teareth in pieces, where there be none to deliver. I'm merely paraphrasing. Because Jake is looking for reparations. They're looking for payback. You know, even Uncle Tom's are waking up. And Sambo's, 18th verse, in that day shall 5 cities in the land of Egypt, which is Babylon the Great, speak the language of Canaan. What's the language of Canaan? What's the language of Canaan? Let me take this out. Before it was known as Palestine, it was known as Canaan. Let's see what comes up. There you go. The language of Canaan. Abagadahawaza Khataya Kalamana Sa Aipa. Then it looks funny. Taza Kwa Rashatha. That's the language of Canaan. The language of Canaan. The language of Canaan. So we speak certain words that we go through. We go into the Hebrew. You know, we use the blue letter. We used to use concordances and Hebrew, English, Bible dictionaries and so forth. So y'all got it easy. All y'all got to do is, you want to get some information, is a click away. We had to actually go to libraries and so forth. This is in that day, show 5 cities. That's just a number. It doesn't mean exactly 5. It could be 10. Anyway, you got the major camps. They're going into the Hebrew when we keep the Passover, the high holy days. You bring out the Torah and you read in the Hebrew, right? It says in that day, show 5 cities in the land of Egypt, spiritual Egypt, speak the language of Canaan. What's the language of Canaan? Hebrew. We call it the Most High's name in the language of Canaan, don't we? It says, and swear to Yahweh of hosts, one shall be called the city of destruction. So why does it say one shall be called a city of destruction? Because it's going to be destroyed. That great city is going to be destroyed. In that day shall there be an altar to Yahweh in the midst of the land of Egypt. So anytime I go through Isaiah 34, what do I say? I say, Babylon the Great is nothing but a big altar. So you have the holy men teaching on top of the altar. Then after the holy man speaks, the holy man is taken out, lifted up in chariots, and the fire comes down on this place, which is what? A burnt sacrifice. So that's all this place is going to be, a burnt sacrifice. So let me pull out some words here. In that day shall there be an altar and the word there is altar. And The word is mazabak. Mazabak, right? Zabak means sacrifice. To slaughter, kill, sacrifice, slaughter for sacrifice. And this is going to be a burnt sacrifice. So that's all this place is. The land of Edom is nothing but an altar. And we're speaking on the altar. So when they say, you don't like it, you can leave the country. You explain to them, look, we're supposed to be here because we're the high priests / spiritual men / prophets to tell you that this place is getting ready to be, you're getting ready to experience a burnt sacrifice. And you are going to represent the sacrificial, the animals, the bullocks, the sheep, the goat. Because you sacrifice with an animal that's made to be sacrificed. So you're going to be the animals that's going to be sacrificed. And that includes Jake. Altar of the Lord in the midst of the land of Egypt, which we know it's in the spiritual Egypt, and a pillar at the border thereof to Yahweh. And the scripture speak about us being pillars in the kingdom. 19th verse. In that day shall there be an altar of Yahweh in the midst of the land of Egypt, and a pillar at the border thereof to Yahweh. And there shall be for a sign and for a witness unto Yahweh of hosts in the land of Egypt, New Egypt, for they shall cry unto Yahweh. Who shall cry unto Yahweh? Because of the oppressor. What does Ezekiel 9:4 says? He's going to put a mark on the men that sigh and cry for all the abomination that be done in the midst thereof. And he shall send them a savior and a great one, and he shall deliver them. So what does that mean? When he say this, he shall send them a savior, it's talking about when the Lord makes his second advent. So we know that this is talking about America. How are we going to be delivered? By the chariots. And Yahweh shall be known to Egypt and the Egyptians, the Babylonians, the daughter of Babylon, Babylonians, shall know Yahweh in that day and shall do sacrifice and oblation. That's us. Yeah, they shall vow a vow unto Yahweh and perform it. Let me look up the word oblation. Manata. Give tribute, offering, present, oblation, sacrifice, meat offering, gift, present, tribute, offering to the Most High. And we gave ourselves as a sacrifice to the Most High, Romans 12, starting from the first verse. It said, yeah, they shall vow a vow unto Yahweh and perform it. What is the vow that we're going to vow? That we're going to do the will of the Most High, and that we're not saying that we're going to do it, we're going to actually do it and perform it. What is the main thing we're supposed to be doing? Pushing His word. 22nd verse, we almost finished. And Yahweh shall smite Egypt, he shall smite and heal it, and they shall return even to the Lord. That the ones that Egypt is being smitten right now, but it's being healed back up for the sake of the elect that are here. My servants shall eat, right? It says, and they shall return even to Yahweh. That's talking about us. That's talking about the ones that will come in the near future. And he shall be entreated of them and shall heal them. Heal who? The elect of Israel. In that day shall there be a highway out of Egypt to Assyria, and the Assyrians shall come into Egypt, and the Egyptians into Assyria, and the Egyptians shall serve with the Assyrians. Now, what is that talking about? That's talking about you have the elect that's scattered throughout the whole world. In that day shall Israel be the third with Egypt, and with Assyria, even a blessing in the midst of the land. What land? Egypt, Assyria. Another name for Babylon the Great is Assyria, whom Yahweh of hosts shall bless, saying, blessed be Egypt, my people, meaning we're the people, the elect that's in America. That's what he's talking about. He ain't blessing no damn Babylon the Great. And Assyria, the work of my hand, because the Most High built up this system, and he's going to destroy it. And Israel, my inheritance. Anyway, with that, I'm going to say shalom.